So,
and you don't know if it works until you do it, and it might break it in the trying.
well, think of something. You know, they have those butcher blocks that are on wheels. You know those little chef tables that, you know, are on wheels, and you can lock the wheels, and they're like a butcher block. I mean, maybe that's not a bad investment. Maybe we see if Jim will make a few of these. Jim, you don't have anything better to do, right?
I think we'd all get very creative if we had to do it. We would be able to do something.
You know, you can buy workbenches. I mean, out in my garage, we've got a workbench.
Maybe at that point we're not going to care if our granite breaks.
Yeah, maybe so.
It's a worldly thing.
That could be true. That could be true. But I think you'll be very interested to come and try these. Because in theory, truly, this is my favorite. In theory, it truly is. But doggone it, if physically, I think it's the hardest one to turn.
Yeah, and if you're going to get so tired doing it, and it's going to take more energy to do it than it would by the
then
bread
it'll
that
give
you
me
eat.
when I eat the bread.
How much is that one, Tammy?
This one, well, here's the thing. We lose our dealer license on all of this stuff if we print anything that's not at MAP pricing, which is a minimum advertised price. So we have to keep them at that. But they never said we couldn't give away free stuff to make up the difference. So it includes your tax, and then it includes all these freebies. You can look at the breads and the knives and all the things over here that some of them include. So this one is $220. Is that? Oh yeah, $220. $220 on that. But if you look, that'll cover your tax, and then you get the bread pans and you get the bread bags with it. And that's how we make it lower without breaking any of the rules to lose our dealer, to lose the dealer license on it. Okay, any other questions on these? Okay, at the end you're going to come try them, and you'll see, and we'll fill the flour, feel how it works, and feel, I mean, the durability on this really rocks. The versatility on that really rocks. And
So would you get that one, even though it's so hard to turn?
well, I happen to own it.
Oh, okay.
I do happen to already own it. In fact, this one is one I already own. I like it. I like the versatility of it, which is really...
Your husband and boys might help you too.
yeah, I was going to say, I'm not in this all by myself, right? Hopefully none of us are in it by ourselves, so it could be a combined effort. The other thing is if you don't think the flour's fine enough, do it on a coarser grind, and then put it back through on a really fine grind, and you'll get it finer, and it won't be as hard because you're putting now a finer flour. So you can put it through twice. Don't think that this is just our end all of our end all. But I think you need to decide how much you're going to depend on that wheat grinder. Like me, in my food storage plan, I have to have a hand wheat grinder. That's the way we're going to survive with all the wheat. Here's an interesting stat. I thought, let me figure this out really quick for us. Okay, so to get 12 cups of flour, you need about 8 cups of wheat. You get about 1.5 cups of flour for every 1 cup of wheat. So in one of those cans that's 5.5 pounds, it's roughly 8 to 10 cups, about 10 cups. So I figure I need 1 can every time I'm going to make a batch of bread. So if you're going to do that for 52 weeks, how much wheat is that? Okay, it's like 9 cases. It's like 300 pounds. But that's just for bread. Remember, we need about 400 grains per person for a year. And you want to make that up with, you know, your other things, oats and millet and quinoa and that kind of stuff. So when you come up and try these, just look at the construction. You'll get a good feel, and look at that. Let's move on to electric wheat grinders really quickly. Now, Sherry brought her Nutri-Mill. Can I just bring this up here?
I think so.
And the only one you can do with the bike is that one, right? The Wonder Mill one.
What's that?
The only one you could do with the bicycle, that it already has attachments ready that you can make it work with the bike.
This one? Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't, you have to buy that attachment. You have to buy this flywheel that attaches where this handle attaches.
But it's made for that.
It's made for that, and you can buy the flywheel. But you have to buy that separately.
Right.
Yeah, you have to buy that separately. And then you could set up a pulley system and do your bike. And so is that less exercise than doing this?
It just exercises.
Depends on if you need arms or legs.
There you go. Okay. As far as electric wheat grinders, there's 2 that really dominate the market. there's the Nutri-Mill that we'll look at, and then there's the Wonder Mill. Now this is Chris. I'm going to have her come up and demo this one. Hers, now this I think is a really good kind of a testament. Whisper Mill was in business a long time ago. They actually went out of business, and Wonder Mill came in, bought the company, and they now duplicate this exact machine, and they call it the Wonder Mill. How long have you had your Whisper Mill? Because just the fact that it's a Whisper Mill means you've had it a while.
Oh, a good 25 years maybe.
And it's still going. I mean, I think that's kind of a testament just to the quality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how often do you think you grind wheat?
Every couple of weeks at least. And I'll typically grind enough that I've got some to set on the counter for other things and then my bread that I bake.
Yeah. Okay.
But
so
I
you
don't
use
just
it.
use it for that, but go ahead. We'll talk
Okay,
about that.
well, we'll get them. Well, and I think as far as what they grind are going to be very similar. You never put any nuts or seeds or anything in these either. I mean, these are literally hard grains. I've done barley, I've done rice, I've done popcorn. Of course, I always do wheat. What else have you done in yours?
You can do beans.
Oh yeah, I've done beans in
go
mine.
through
Beans go
wonderfully.
through great.
Split peas go through wonderfully. Rice goes through wonderfully.
Yeah, make your own brown rice flour, spelt flour. I mean, you can do quite a bit. So here's, my mother has both. Now, I think if I'm going to be completely honest, I think the Wonder Mill, which is her Whisper Mill, is faster. I own the Nutri-Mill, and I love my Nutri-Mill. I like the setup of it. I like that it's one contraption, and I can just put it in my cupboard and just pull it out, and I don't have anything to attach. It's got the little drawer right here. Wheat goes in the top, flour comes out the bottom. I mean, it's just very simple, and it does, you know, you can do fine or low, or high or low, or fine or coarse. I use mine, well, now that I'm an empty nester, I'm not using it as much as I used to, but I used to faithfully make bread at least once a week. I was using it all the time. So I love the way that that's set up. I do think this one might be slightly quieter. I do think the Wonder Mill is faster. Now we've got this set up, right, Brett?
Push play.
Okay. So we can see how loud. You can just get a sense. Let me just make sure we put this all the way in. Okay, that's solar power. Is that cool? That is solar power? Okay, so you can hear about how loud that is. Now in this big room, it's not quite as loud as it's going to be in your kitchen. Okay, Chris, let's bring yours up and let's get that plugged in. Yeah.
Drop it down and plug this one. I'll leave it.
Yeah, you can unplug it, and we'll just plug this one in. All right, I guess we got left one.
I don't know if we have to worry about blowing anything out on that. We'll see later.
I hope we don't. Okay, so you can see the difference right now. Okay, so now it's not difficult to attach, is it? No. Do you store your flour in that?
No.
You take it out and dump it into a bin? Okay. So you can see the difference in the size.
You could store it in there if you wanted to. I know people that do, but I don't.
I think that's why they made it that way, so you can store it separately and you can put the machine away and then have that as your bin. But because that's not the way I use it, I kind of liked the one machine. But, you know, I think it's going to be people who have Wonder Mills love their Wonder Mills. People who have their Nutri-Mills love their Nutri-Mills. I don't think you'll be disappointed either way.
From my understanding too, once you grind the flour, if you stick it in the freezer, the nutrients are a lot better because once you grind finer, the nutrients go out really fast.
Anytime you crack a grain, you start losing nutrients immediately. That's why it's so great to store wheat, because you're storing nutrients. You can store the nutrients. That's why it's much better than storing the flour. So yes, and then of course if you freeze it, anytime it's colder, it slows down the nutrient loss. So good point, thank you.
Yep. When I was doing some research on the new model of this one, they have a couple of new attachments. One is, it's just like